And then that was replaced by even more anxiety because I realized I was dying. And then, bam, I'm out of my body, standing next to myself, looking at my dead body, wondering what the point of my life had been. So, looking at my dead body, wondering what the point of life had been, I'm standing beside myself and I feel a presence in the room. Didn't see anything, no spirit, no person, nothing like that. But I felt a presence looking at me.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. And today I am super excited because I am talking with Branden Densmore. Hi, Branden.
Hey, how you doing, Sharon?
Doing well. Thank you. Thank you for being here. And I saw you on another podcast doing an interview with someone, and I was like really taken with your story. So I'm glad you accepted my invite to come and chat.
Absolutely. I love the work that you're doing. I was checking out your YouTube channel before I got on here, and it's great stuff. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to be a part of what you're doing.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that for sure. We do our best, don't we?
We do.
I'd like to read your bio here and give the audience just a little preface
Okay.
about you, and then we'll get into your sharing because I'm really excited about that. Okay, let me bring it up here. Branden was called by Spirit in 2014 after his profound near-death experience, heroin overdose, to create life-transforming opportunities, magic doors for heart-centered individuals to fearlessly manifest their dreams while having fun. I love that. Branden Densmore is the CEO of Gathered Minds Media, LLC, where he works as a certified spiritual coach, business consultant, and digital product creator. That sounds amazing. And I will put all your contact links in the details.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So please share a little bit of your history and, of course, what led up to your NDE and as much as you'd like to share.
Okay. So yeah, like I had a near-death experience back in 2014. Obviously, like you said in my bio, it was a heroin overdose. Before that, I had been addicted to opiate substances since I was 14 years old. So it was a long time that I was using these meds. I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease and sacroiliac spondylitis when I was 14 years old, and it was a lot of pain, and was put on these opiate medications to treat the pain. Ended up becoming totally dependent on these medications for decades until I had a near-death experience back in 2014. I was using the opiates really. They treat your pain. They're a wonderful pain medicine. If you have your arm cut off, or you're suffering from some kind of disease or something that causes a lot of pain, there's really no other medication that really can treat the pain as well as these opiate substances. But the problem for me is that they would treat my emotional pain
Mm.
as well as my physical pain. And when I didn't have the medication, all of all of that emotional turmoil would rise to the surface. And I was sexually molested when I was 8 years old.
Mm.
That was like a shock to the system for an 8 year old to process that, wow, I'm not living in the kind of, kind, loving world that I thought I was, that not everybody has your best interests at heart and people will take advantage of you. So let's see. Um, so I was sexually molested at 8 years old. I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness and didn't salute the flag, didn't celebrate holidays, which I believe made me an easy target for bullying. I was
Okay.
bullied horrendously by the students at school, and it just set me up, to have these self-doubts, anger, resentment, fear, and the opiate medications would treat those symptoms. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. Yeah, it definitely. I personally, I can't take opiates because they make me so sick. Yeah. And luckily I didn't have to deal with that. My journey was a little bit different, but yeah, I'm finding that as I talk to people like you, people who have come through so much trauma and ways of dealing with life, that it seems like the human condition is to reach the lows before we can reach the big highs. Does that make any sense?
It does. And I was thinking before coming on this show about this concept of hardships as
Yeah.
pathways to peace, difficulties as pathways to power.
Mm.
So,
Hmm.
like, I don't regret, um, I've been able to turn that heroin addiction into one of my greatest assets. And sometimes it requires a paradigm shift, a change in the way that you view things. Other times it might take meditation or some different spiritual practices to make that happen. But we can really transform ourselves and the way that we view things. And the most difficult things that we go through, we can actually transform them into our most valued possessions, if you will.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I ended up, I went to school and dropped out in the ninth grade. I hated it. I hated school, and I was bullied. I didn't believe that I was learning things that were important. When I asked questions, I was shut down. And so I dropped out in the ninth grade and went to work. At age 21, I was in a fist fight where I totally lost consciousness. I was in a fight with this guy who was wearing steel-toed boots, and he kicked me in the face 3 times, and his boot almost went into my brain.
Oh my God.
Went to the doctor the next day, and he said that if there had been 3 more pounds of pressure behind the last kick, his boot would have gone into my brain. So it's like Martin Heidegger says in Being and Time. He was a German philosopher. He said that when people realize the possibility of their own non existence, it can be an impetus to philosophy.
Mm.
So that's what happened back in when I was 21 years old. Up to that point, I had internalized these negative beliefs that I was stupid, I was going to go nowhere in life and amount to nothing, basically. And then when I was in that fist fight, I started questioning those beliefs. So here I am, a high school dropout. What ended up happening was I studied every book I could get my hands on about spiritual related topics. I actually found a book, or somebody gave it to me. It was so long ago, I can't remember, but it was about ascension and being a light worker. So that kind of became a cornerstone in my philosophy back in those days. But anyways, I was reading every book I could get my hands on about spirituality and self-development. Ended up going back to school. Long story short, I got a GED, graduated from community college, took 2 full classes at Vassar College, which is an Ivy League institution, over a 6-week period, and aced both classes. Now, how is that possible for someone who's stupid and going to amount to nothing?
Mhm.
So I had believed that that was true,
Right.
and it shaped my actions, it shaped my behavior, my interactions with others. But it was a false belief that I believed was true, and that colored my whole life. But until I was in that fist fight and realized the possibility of my own non-existence, that I was mortal, right? My life could be taken at any moment. Um, I hadn't really questioned those beliefs. They just kind of were internalized. So then I applied to Vassar full time, got a 4-year bachelor's degree, and graduated from there. So maybe I wasn't as stupid as I thought.
Yeah. Or you were made to think the program.
Right. So
Yeah.
my
We have
question
so
to the
many
audience is,
programs running through our mind. Yeah.
yeah. So what beliefs do you have that aren't true about yourself?
You're asking me? Or
You
you're
or
just,
even the
we all have
audience.
them. Yeah, totally. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we have these
there's
beliefs
so many.
that we believe, we believe they're the truth. But when you actually, step outside of yourself for a second and question those beliefs and test them, am I really stupid? Well, let me go to back to school and test it and see if it's true.
Yeah.
And come to find out it's not true. So we live in these prisons of self-doubt and self-criticism, and it's time to break free.
Couldn't agree more.
So, what else would you like to know? Is that the end of the show?
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for coming on, Brandon.
Let's leave it there. Okay.
Everybody's got it. Exactly. That's all we need right there. Stop believing what you've been told about yourself.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you can develop a whole new identity. But, anyways, I mean, I question those beliefs, and was still addicted to opiates.
Okay.
Like, I developed a passion for learning, went to school and studied philosophy, and I loved it. But in the background, here I am addicted hopelessly to opiates. So made some progress, I guess you could say, with questioning those beliefs, but I was still stuck and still in a lot of pain.
Did you realize you were addicted to opiates, or I just, with my history, I only remember starting to get addicted to cocaine when my father from spirit helped me saved me from that. So did you know?
I did, but in your case, did you know?
No, I didn't. But I felt it. I felt I was starting to get in that because I was a weekend user.
Hmm.
Uh, so I was, yeah. But my dad died like a couple days before and showed up right next to me and said, "What the heck are you doing?" In not so nice terms, but and he was an alcoholic until maybe the last 10, 15 years of his life. But
Mm.
so he knows addiction when he sees it. But I could feel it going to a part in my brain, a place in my brain that wanted more all the time, where I was more of a casual user up until around then.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
So did you tell yourself, oh, I'm not addicted. I can handle this. Da 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 da. Like, what was
no,
the thought process? What was the experience?
I didn't have that conversation with myself. I just didn't do it anymore. That was the last time I had done it. I was doing it right there.
Hmm.
He's right here. I'm like, I can't do this. I was telling my boyfriend at the time, and he was an addict, but I didn't know at the time that he was doing it all the time, whereas I was just
Mm.
doing it on weekends. But anyway, but he was able to overcome that
Yeah.
later. But anyway, no, I didn't have that conversation with myself that I just consider myself a partier, and so if it was because I wouldn't do it when it was by myself or outside of that realm, but I felt like I was getting crossing the line.
Yeah.
And I actually saw a parallel life where I did. So, sorry, go ahead.
You saw a parallel life where what?
That I did cross the line and became addicted.
Uh,
And I had to
yeah.
bring that in. Yeah.
And then you changed it.
I changed it.
Good
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
With my situation, I would use too much of the pain medicine. So, I mean, it started off with like Vicodin, and then it progressed to oxycodone,
Mhm.
and then it progressed to morphine, and it was all, prescription pain medicine. And then, it just progressed and progressed. And what would happen is I would take too much of the medicine, just a little bit too much, and then run out of the prescription early, and then I'd get sick.
Oh, okay. So your
And
body
this
craved
went
it?
on for years.
Wow. Okay. So did you have
Yes.
that thought? I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but
No.
I'm fascinated. Did you have that thought process, or was it
Of-
just thinking about getting more?
I knew that I had a problem,
Okay.
and also thinking about getting more,
At the same time. Yeah. Okay.
and no escape. like you try to break free, and then it's like you're caught in the gravitational field of a black hole.
Yeah.
It just sucks you in,
Yeah.
takes over your thinking, and you have no control. I was reading the other day that really opiates kind of hijack the limbic system,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like survival. Like you
Mm-hmm.
need this substance to live.
Yeah.
Um, so I would take too much of the medication, go into withdrawals. It was a vicious pattern, surrounded by users, false friends, and no money in the bank. Just the one thing I had going for me that was good, is that I had a passion for learning and I was successful academically. But in the background, I was full of inner turmoil and self, defeating thinking. I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not as good as Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
Uh, on and on and on, and just full of
Sure.
this stuff. And it just developed over time. And then in 2014, I had a near death experience where I was in withdrawals for 3 days, sweating, full of anxiety, all of my self confidence issues at the surface, screaming at the top of their lungs, thinking about all the areas of my life that I wasn't satisfied with, crying, um, afraid, and just moving around in the chair, time standing still. Is this ever going to end? And then finally the guy shows up, brings me some stuff, and I do it, and everything just evaporates like the sun shining on a lake in midsummer. All of the stress left, just evaporated off my body. Finally, I can relax. Finally, I can be at peace and collect my thoughts and think about, I got to pay X, Y, and Z bill. Like all of these things that I had been putting off, I couldn't think clearly. Um, and then that was replaced by even more anxiety because I realized I was dying. And then, bam, I'm out of my body, standing next to myself, looking at my dead body, wondering what the point of my life had been.
Mm-hmm.
So, looking at my dead body, wondering what the point of life had been, I'm standing beside myself and I feel a presence in the room. Didn't see anything, no spirit, no person, nothing like that. But I felt a presence looking at me, and I was thinking about my whole life. All of these things happened. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness. I was sexually molested. I was bullied, dropped out of school, got in a fist fight, had a passion for learning, went back to school, discovered I wasn't stupid, and now I'm dead. So what was the point of all of it?
Yeah.
That's what I was contemplating. And then I felt a presence. And do you have any questions?
No, no, keep going. If I do, I'll interrupt you.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I was having all of these thoughts, wondering what the point of my life had been. It seemed kind of pointless. And I was transported and shown a few things. I was shown all of the people that were affected by my death and a future that I could have lived, but wouldn't because I was dead.
Oh, okay.
So I was shown like all of the people that I could have met and made friends with, a marriage that would never happen, children that would never be born. I was shown all of the people that I could have helped, I could have been there for, I could have spent time with. And no, none of that's going to happen. All of the good things, the joys of life that you could have experienced, you could have had a full life, but you'll never experience it because now you've passed. And then I was shown all the people that were affected by my death, and the funeral, all of the friends and the family and the conversations that were had about me passing. And in particular, I remember this with crystal clarity, is my mom coming into the room and finding my body
Mm,
on her couch. I was discolored corpse with pus running out of my mouth.
mm.
And she saw my dead body and started screaming and weeping and saying, my baby, oh God, no, 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 my baby, no, my little baby. And she had all of these memories of raising me as a child, you know, first words, first steps, first foods, all of the joys that she experienced. And now here I was dead on her couch from a heroin overdose.
And I hear your baby.
There's my baby. He's crying in the background.
How synchronistic is that?
Yeah, so he's a miracle. He's he's the product of being given a second chance at life.
Wow. I can't wait to
So
hear about that.
what's that?
I said I can't wait to hear about that if you care to share later,
Yeah.
or because you're in the middle of your
Yes.
NDE now. And I'm like, I want to hear more.
Yes. So he's a year and 3 months. And had I died from that heroin overdose, he would never exist. So, and there's so many things like that in my life that would have never have happened, you know? Um, so this happened back in 2014 and it's 2023 now.
Yeah.
Uh, so I was shown these things and then all of a sudden I'm back in the room, standing next to my body with the presence. And I hear a voice that says, now your life is over and you wasted it.
Oh,
And it was like the final blow, right?
that's not comforting. I know, right?
Right. Like that vision hadn't been painful enough.
Yeah.
Like, let's just rub the salt in the wound a little bit more.
Yikes.
And at that time, I pleaded for another chance. Like, please don't let this happen. I don't want to die. I will do whatever's necessary to overcome this addiction. Just send me back and give me another chance. And just like that, I'm back in my body, gasping for breath.
Wow. Yeah. That's amazing. So it sounds like you needed that kick in the butt, right?
I believe that it is an aspect of limitless love because that was what was needed to be heard.
Yeah.
I needed to see that. I needed to hear that. I needed to feel that
Right.
to get the strength and the motivation necessary to break free of the black hole that opiates had become in my life.
Wow. That makes sense. Yeah. That's amazing. Do
And
you,
imagine the reason I say it's an expression of limitless love, like I wouldn't want to bring those kinds of things to the attention of my loved one,
sure.
right? Because it's going to cause them a lot of distress.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need to cause distress so that a person can wake up
Right.
and do what they need to do to get their life straight.
Right. I kind of call it a come to Jesus moment. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Say more, say more.
My dad used to say, if we don't start going down the right path, or the path that and he was the alcoholic, then if we don't listen to our guidance, don't listen to our intuition, because he wasn't spiritual or anything like that. But if we don't listen to that gut feeling or whatever that tells us that maybe this isn't right, and it keeps knocking and knocking on the door, sooner or later we're going to get hit over the head with a 2x4.
Mm.
That's going to show us that, hey, okay, we've been, it's time. It's time. We let you go on. We didn't interfere so much.
Mm-hmm.
You've had that many chances. So here's your 2x4.
Yes. And
Yeah.
yeah. And it's like I don't regret any of it.
Right.
The use of the drugs and stuff, and because it's really become part of who I am, and it's given me a lot of strength, and I've been able to turn it into my greatest asset in life. So hardships as pathways to power, difficulties as pathways to peace.
Yeah.
Because we can turn these things around and we can turn them into our greatest assets. And they can build a lot of character.
Sure.
But anyways, where do you want to take the conversation from here?